Inside a half-empty Tupperware cabinet, the collapse of a forgotten American dream looked cheap, quiet, and strangely ordinary after decades of applause. The bowls survived longer than the empire that sold them, while bankruptcy filings exposed how fragile the famous living room miracle had become. Avon products entered Chapter 11. Herbalife paid a major federal settlement, and Nu Skin lost the shine that once made beauty feel like opportunity. Together, they revealed a darker truth about multi-level marketing. The people at the bottom were not accidental casualties. They were the fuel. The story begins before the scandal, in a softer America of suburban kitchens, neighborhood invitations, folding chairs, coffee cake, and polite pressure. Tupperware was not born as a fraud, because its early airtight containers solved a real household problem before copycats filled supermarket shelves. Its genius was discovering that the safest place to sell was not a store, but the emotional trust inside someone else's home. A hostess could invite friends, demonstrate storage bowls, collect commissions, and feel briefly recognized in a culture that often ignored domestic labor. For many post-war housewives, the party offered money, status, friendship, and applause without challenging the walls that kept them at home. The container mattered, but the feeling mattered more, because Tupperware sold practical plastic through a carefully staged performance of independence. Then the model changed from direct selling into something far more powerful, when sellers could earn from the sales of people beneath them. That compensation twist turned friendship into infrastructure, because every successful recruit could become another recruiter, pulling more homes into the same machine. A traditional business needs customers who want a product, but a multi-level marketing company needs believers who will buy, sell, recruit, and repeat. The product keeps the structure defensible, while recruitment keeps it alive, and that tension has haunted regulators for nearly half a century. If real customers buy because they want the merchandise, the company can present itself as ordinary direct selling through independent representatives. But when distributors buy inventory to qualify for ranks, commissions, or status, revenue can appear before genuine consumer demand ever proves itself. That is the line federal agencies keep testing, whether money flows from real retail sales or from new participants funding older participants. The question sounds technical, but the human consequence is simple. Someone eventually pays for the dream before the dream pays them back. The first financial advantage was brutal efficiency, because companies could build enormous sales forces without salaries, storefront wages, or traditional advertising costs. Sellers supplied the labor, relationships, storage space, transportation, and emotional risk, while headquarters controlled the brand, the rules, and the reward ladder. On an investor slide, the model could look brilliant, because cost moved downward while authority and commissions kept moving upward. But inside ordinary homes, the math was less elegant, because every seller eventually ran out of relatives, co-workers, neighbors, and patients. When the warm market dries up, the seller faces the real choice hidden inside the plan: quit quietly or start recruiting others. That is where commerce becomes psychology, because the company needs new hope arriving faster than old disappointment can escape the room. Rallies, pins, cars, cruises, diamonds, stage lights, and emotional testimonials all exist to make personal loss feel like temporary delay. The seller at the bottom is told failure comes from mindset, effort, fear, or laziness, never from the structure itself. Someone on stage appears to have made the system work, so everyone beneath them is encouraged to blame themselves for standing too low. This is why the losing majority becomes useful, because their losses make the rare visible winners look disciplined, chosen, and almost reachable. The dream must stay close enough to chase, but distant enough that most people keep spending before they admit defeat. When Tupperware lost its patent advantage, cheap containers from rival brands spread through ordinary stores, and the party no longer felt necessary. The company tried to reach retail again, but that threatened the very sellers whose unpaid work had carried the brand for generations. A shelf sale could help the corporation, yet it made every hostess wonder why she had sacrificed evenings for commissions. So Tupperware became trapped by its own channel, forced to keep feeding sellers new products, new markets, and new reasons to believe. Herbalife learned from that trap and built a faster version around shakes, teas, clubs, sports sponsorships, wellness language, and monthly consumption. Instead of one durable bowl, it sold rituals people could repeat daily, turning nutrition into habit, community, identity, and recurring orders. If stories like this reveal the hidden cost of American money and power, subscribe to Fortunes and Ruins for more forgotten collapses. Herbalife did not need everyone to become rich, because it needed enough people to keep buying, attending, recruiting, and defending the system. Federal regulators later said the company misled people about the income they could realistically earn from the business opportunity it promoted. In 2016, Herbalife agreed to pay $200 million and restructure its United States operations after a Federal Trade Commission investigation. The settlement did not destroy the company, but it forced the business to verify more retail demand and limit parts of its compensation structure. That outcome exposed the strange durability of the model, because legal punishment could wound the machine without breaking the belief around it. Bill Ackman bet heavily that Herbalife would collapse, but his public crusade underestimated the emotional loyalty inside the very communities he was analyzing. To many participants, the clubs were not just sales rooms, but daily rituals of friendship, routine, encouragement, and belonging. That is the uncomfortable truth multi-level marketing understands. It often arrives where traditional opportunity has already disappointed people. It finds isolated parents, underpaid workers, immigrants, debt-stressed families, and restless drivers who want dignity as much as income. The pitch lands because America keeps celebrating independence while making stable upward mobility harder for millions outside the corporate ladder. A multi-level marketing company does not invent desperation, but it organizes desperation into a sales force and charges people for joining. New Skin carried the same mechanism into beauty, selling devices, refills, scarcity, scientific language, and status through personal networks. For years, premium anti-aging technology seemed mysterious enough to justify demonstrations, conventions, and prices far above ordinary retail alternatives. But online shopping, price comparison, social media, and cheaper beauty technology weakened the information gap that once protected the pitch. Customers no longer needed a neighbor to explain a miracle device, a weight loss ritual, or a storage bowl with theatrical urgency. Sellers no longer needed the pyramid either, as gig apps, e-commerce, and creator platforms offered faster payouts with fewer social costs. That is why the modern multi-level marketing graveyard keeps expanding, from bankrupt brands to collapsed stock charts and garages filled with unsold hope. The companies promised freedom from bosses, schedules, stores, and ordinary jobs, but many sellers found themselves trapped by all four. The final ruin is not only corporate, because every box of unwanted product represents a relationship strained by a business dream. Keep following Fortunes and Ruins for the forgotten stories where American ambition turns into debt, silence, and wreckage left behind. In the end, the bottom of the pyramid was never a flaw in the model, because the bottom was the model all along.